But talent can only take you so far. Talent can possibly take you onto a college roster, but how effective you are on that college roster really comes down to your work ethic. Welcome to the VGC podcast. My name is Christopher Knowles, and my dog behind me's name is Snickers. He's a golden doodle. He's the best dog ever. Today, we are back with another big lesson. As you guys remember, if you saw 2 weeks ago, I started doing more very story specific, but also very specific lesson that I've learned throughout my entire career type episodes, where I talk about a moment that I had a breakthrough or a challenge or a setback in the massive lesson that took me to my next level after going through that moment, and hopefully sharing that lesson with you so you can improve your skills, your abilities, your path, and the probability of you seeing massive success in volleyball. So today, 2 weeks ago, we talked about how it all starts with you. Anything that you want to see differently starts with you, and the solution is within you, right? Nothing is external. And this week and today, I want to talk more about work ethic. So especially in today's world, there are a lot of very talented volleyball players. When I was kind of coming up in my club years, volleyball has definitely grown in popularity for sure. The amount of players and the skill level of players at such a young age have dramatically changed in just such a short amount of time. And a lot of what was instilled in me in my club years was straight work ethic, right? If you asked me how much talent matters compared to work ethic in my 17th year at Wave, I'd have been like, dude, talent doesn't matter at all. It's all work ethic, right? I still believe that to this day a little bit, right? I know talent, just natural talent, does factor in. But the reason I'm talking about this is because today there's a lot of talent, right? There's a lot of super tall kids. There's a lot of naturally talented young players that are super great at volleyball just because they're naturally good at it, naturally gifted at it, and that's great. But talent can only take you so far. Talent can possibly take you onto a college roster, but how effective you are on that college roster really comes down to your work ethic. And something that I've learned from starting as a 12-year-old in playing volleyball and now playing in college is the older you get, the more required work ethic you have to be putting in, right? And the earlier you can start that high level work ethic, the more faster and better success you will see. And the reason I'm saying this is because throughout my early years, it was strictly just go to practice, play volleyball, go home, and enjoy it, right? It was super fun and all that great stuff, how sports should be when you're young. But then as I got into more competitive age of 15, 16, 17, 18s, it was more of, okay, let's start incorporating in the weight room, right? But still just going to the normal practices, but going to the weight room twice a week moving forward. But then now in college, you are expected to lift every single day practically with 1 or 2 days off of rest, and then show up to practice, and then maybe even get extra reps outside of practice. And so that's the natural, I would say, increase in work ethic that I have seen throughout my career. And if I could tell my younger self something before that work ethic started kicking in to put myself in a better position, and what I'm telling you guys now is start developing that standard and that level of work ethic right now, right? There's a quote that I really like that, it says, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the second best time is today, right? Your best time to have started working out and lifting weights and getting your diet right and all these other things was a year ago or even 2 years ago, right? Or a month ago. But the second best time that you can take opportunity of is right now, today, like making a change this instant. And that leads me into the second thing of what I just said is work ethic doesn't only just come down to how much you are physically doing, lifting weights, hitting balls, serving, passing, all that stuff. Work ethic doesn't just come down to that. Something that I was doing my 17, 16s year was putting in a lot of work with practicing and starting to lift weights and figure out how to do that. But my diet was trash, literally trash. I would eat like 4 massive, if you've ever gone to Trader Joe's and you know those like pumpkin, no, it was banana chocolate chip muffins. I would eat a whole 4-pack of those in one sitting, right? And they're like the size of like my hand, right? And they're huge. I would eat one of those. I used to eat like pepperoni mac and cheese. I used to eat like chocolate chip pancakes for breakfast almost every day. I would, I had a whole, I would like not religiously, but probably once a week eat a whole medium-sized Domino's pizza by myself and be gone, right? So that's what I want to talk about work ethic as well, right? I was talking about it earlier of the talent. A lot of people have talent, right? But then the work ethic comes in with just showing up to practice. But where you will see the most and better and biggest results and success is leveling up your work ethic in all arenas, right? Not just going to more practices and lifting more weights, right? And the biggest thing that I want to tie kind of to my story is the diet, right? I used to eat like trash. So I was lifting for about 2 to 3 years, like 2.5 years. 2.5 years of lifting, doing everything correctly, feeling the burn, all that stuff, feeling great, and going to practice. And I was still insanely scrawny. If you find an old picture of me, I could have gotten blown over by a strong gust of wind. That's how skinny I was, right? I'm still on the up curve, but I've gotten a little, I went from 165 to 185 in a span of about a year recently because of this one change I made. And that one change is increasing the work ethic in every arena, just not just a couple arenas. And so with this diet thing, I was putting in all this work, lifting a bunch of weights for 2 years, seeing literally zero results. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to practice every week. I'm lifting these weights every other day that I'm not playing volleyball. How do I literally look, feel, and jump the same, right? The biggest thing was vertical. I touched probably less than 10-10 my senior year, and I was 6'7". So that's not great. But what I realized was I was putting in so much of this great work ethic towards volleyball and towards lifting, but my work ethic technically towards eating and resting and sleeping and recovering and stretching was non-existent, right? And so all these factors of how well you put in the work with every arena builds who you are as a player because they all impact each other. If you eat good and lift really well and practice a ton, but you sleep 3 hours a night, that's going to affect everything else because you will be tired for practice, you can't lift as much, and the diet will have practically gone out the window because you couldn't process any of it without good sleep, right? And so this was a big lesson for me, was realizing that work ethic can apply and should apply to all arenas, not just the physical aspects, right? The work ethic of how much are you putting into your mind, right? What are you feeding your brain and your mind that is putting you in the good direction, right? Same thing. If we go back to the same example, you're sleeping 7 to 8 hours, you're eating really good, you're lifting a lot and doing really well, and you're practicing and doing practicing as much as you should, and you're showing up early and leaving last, but you're feeding yourself with 6 hours of TikTok every single day of just straight crap and garbage, and you're not really reading or watching any constructive things or learning anything new or feeding your brain anything good, that's going to lead to some emotional things, right? It's emotional problems, which goes into emotionally eating bad things, taking away your whole good diet, being a short fuse, which I was my freshman year of college, if you listen to the episode a couple weeks back, right? So this point that I'm trying to make is that your work ethic in all arenas affects your entire product, which is who you are and how you play and your athletic abilities, based off how those arenas are feeding into each other, right? So the biggest lesson I think that I realized somewhat recently within the past year was that my work ethic with my eating and my sleeping and recovery and stretching needed to be a lot better. And coincidentally, I gained 20 good healthy pounds in this year, and my I can lift 10 times more than I was the first 2 years combined. I'm playing a lot better. I feel a lot better and more energized, right? And it's not a coincidence that I changed these other areas that impacted those first two areas of lifting and playing, and everything just got exponentially better within 1 year, right? So when you see all these people that, oh, you can develop this vertical jump in 6 months, right? All that stuff could be possible. Could be a scam, but it could be possible, because it's not just like, oh, do these 10 different workouts and you'll have a 40-inch vertical next week. That can be true if you're eating right, sleeping right, feeding yourself the right stuff mentally, and you're still practicing well and not over pushing yourself, right? Pushing yourself is good, but not exhausting yourself to where you can't even work out like they're saying, right? So this was all over the place. So tying it back into what I was saying earlier, right? There's a lot of points that I'm trying to make in one thing, but it really comes down to this. You can have great talent. You can have great physical abilities. But if you don't have the correct work ethic in all the other arenas of diet, sleep, recovery, stretching, uh, mentality, right? All that stuff, your clock is going to run out, right? You might be amazing right now. You're going to hit a wall at some point. It is natural to happen, right? But when you start taking care of every single arena that feeds into the entire athlete that you're trying to be, then you become a machine that is just running on all cylinders and cannot be stopped. That my I wish I would have known this way early on in my career, because I just thought it was so simple. Oh, just practice more and lift more, and then I'll be good. I'll be huge. I'll be massive. I'll be able to just hit the hell out of a ball, and I'll be set, right? I'll be set for life. But then I saw no results. I was not getting bigger or stronger at all. My weight was staying the same, and the weights I was lifting was staying the same. And I just couldn't figure out for the longest time that it was all these other factors that play a massive and critical role in those two things that we try to do so well in, right? So if you've started lifting, if you've been lifting for multiple years, if you haven't even started lifting, I would say start lifting for that third group. But the players who have been playing for a while and you've been lifting for a while and you've kind of been staying at the same lifting capabilities and playing capabilities, there are probably other arenas that you are not putting in the correct amount of work ethic into to feed those first two arenas that make you the athlete that you want to be, right? So don't eat 4 hand-size banana chocolate chip muffins or chocolate chip pancakes every morning, or pepperoni mac and cheese for lunch, and the worst thing you could possibly think of for dinner of a whole Domino's pizza. Don't eat like that and sleep 5 hours and just grind your whole life away on social media and think that you're going to be an incredible athlete and an incredible person that just thrives in every other arena but can just slack off over here, right? That is something that I would tell myself, and something that I'm telling you now because I've been through it, right? Of just not being able to figure out why I'm not seeing any results. And it's because of needing to take care of every arena and applying that super high standard of work ethic into every single arena and maximizing it to the fullest. So, a lot of points I was trying to get across today, but I think the biggest one, the biggest lesson is the more you enhance your work ethic in multiple arenas, in the most critical arenas, the more you will be feeding the product of you, feeding yourself and producing the outcomes you want, because you are being the athlete that can operate at that level. that is the biggest lesson and takeaway from today. I think that's like the second biggest lesson I've learned in my whole career, that all of these different factors and all of these different things that we do factor into each other and produce a certain outcome, whether we like it or not. And how I can better change those factors changes the results and the outcomes I get in the athlete that I'm becoming in a better and more positive way. So that is the episode for this week. Again, if you guys like these big lesson episodes, please let me know. Share it. Share it with your teammates. Share it with your team, your entire team if you have to. And I will see it as you guys like these episodes and you want to see more of them. But the biggest thing, again, wrapping it all up, from someone who's been on the bottom of the bench to someone who is a Division I player, the second biggest lesson that I've ever learned is apply the work ethic you have in one arena to all arenas, and you will become a better overall athlete. Thank you guys for listening, and please keep growing together.